Hello everyone, here it's Crafty Carol from Northern Ireland. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I want to show you a really nice Mother's Day card, because a week tomorrow it's Mother's Day as I'm recording this. So I'm going to use the lovely Daffodil Daydream set, which comes with the separate daffodil dies. Lovely daffodils, really nice Easter card. You could use it for Easter blessings. I'm going to be using it for some Easter cards next week. But I'm using this sentiment up here, Happy Mother's Day, for this particular card. And I'm going to make it it's a fun fold card, but there's not really much folding to do. So let me go through what you really need for this. I am also using the Layering Circles framelit dies, which sadly are retired, but I will talk about a different way you could use the pieces if you haven't got those particular dies. Now, I've prepared a lot of the pieces beforehand because, quite honestly, there's a lot of things to prepare. So I'm starting with my card base, and I've used the lovely Pear Pizzazz colour, lovely green. It's probably my favourite green, although I do love Old Olive. So anyway, I've used Pear Pizzazz for this one, and we just need the ordinary card base, which is 21 centimetres long by 14.8 this way, half a sheet of A4, scored in the middle at 10.5, and that produces our card base. The second piece you need is let me just measure it to make sure I can tell you exactly what it is. It's again roughly a half piece of A4, but it's slightly smaller. So this is 19.5 centimetres by 14 centimetres. So 19.5 by 14, and then it's scored in the middle, which is at 9.75, as close as you can get it. And then this piece is also scored in half, so that is 5 centimetres in. So you can do it at 5 centimetres and at, struggling with these figures, about 9.75, 9.7. And then, so you score it that way, it makes it easier to measure. And then you're just simply going to fold it like that. So fold it in half, then fold one piece back. And this is for the flap mechanism inside. So those are the two main card pieces. You also need a fair bit of other card. I find around the other half sheet of the Pear Pizzazz will do it, because you're going to cut out one large circle. You could use your stitch dies for this. I just use the plain one from the Layering Circles dies, which is this one, which I think is the second size. I'm never sure how to get the sizes. Anyway, I think it's the second size one. So I've cut that. No, this is the largest size one. I've cut that out. Then I've used my Stylish Shapes dies, the largest stitch circle from Stylish Shapes, to cut out my white circle. So I've got the stitched edging around it, and that's going to fit together like that as part of the flap of the card. Then I have also cut out, using the largest of the scalloped circles, 2, and then I've cut out the centre of those with this die, with this second size die, so you can see it just fits in beautifully, and you can cut out the center. Those centers can be used elsewhere if you want them for a different project. Now, if you haven't got the layered circle dies, I would use 2 large circle dies of similar shapes if you have them, or find something you can draw around. So a cup or a plastic yogurt pot, anything that's got a circle with a slightly larger one, you can do the same thing. So these are for little frames. These aren't absolutely essential. You'll see why in a bit, but I like them to finish off the project. Okay, so I also need some coordinating DSP. So I've used this from the In Colour sets. So this is from the Subtles In Colour DSP sets. I haven't decided actually which sheet to use. I think I might use that side. I quite like that side. Yeah, I might use that side because it'll go with my stems. And I've cut 2 pieces. So this piece is cut half a centimetre smaller than the side here. So this piece is 10 by 14.3, and this piece, which is going to fit across my folded sheet here, is, just get the measurements for you because I've forgotten to write them down today, which is really stupid, 4.4 by 13.5. So those are the 2 pieces of DSP you need. So we're going to do some stamping and we're going to do some more cutting, but I want to show you how to put all of this together. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stick our DSP piece to the front here. And we need to stick this on, and when you stick it on, I want you please to use a fair bit of glue all the way around. Normally when I'm sticking something on, as you know, I go around the edge and then I don't put too much down the middle, but I want to put a fair bit round the middle this time. So if you can see on there, I've covered that sheet with glue, and the reason is we're going to cut out a circle from the front of this piece, and I want the paper to stay stuck down all around where the circle is. So I need to make sure there is glue all across the paper to stick it down. So that's my front sheet. Now the way the card is going to work is this is going to stick in here once we've done all our stamping, and we're going to be stamping our image onto, we'll try and hold all these pieces together to show you, onto the stitch circle, which is going to stick onto here. So we need to see it through the front. So we are going to cut out of the front a circular shape. So that's why we stick the paper on first, and then we try not to lose those bits. The next thing I'm going to do is go and cut out the shape here, and I want it to be around here. As I'm putting it above halfway, it doesn't really matter. I just want it to be vaguely central here in this piece. So I'm going to go and run that through my die cut machine, and I will be back in a second. So here is my sheet with my circle cut out, so you can see what I mean now. And then you want to cut out your little frames, because I'm just going to stick those. It just makes the card look nicer to have the little frame around it. So I'm going to stick one of those on the front, one of those just inside there, and it just hides the mark where you've actually used the die to cut out the circle. So just a little bit of Tombow on those. So I'll put those on now. It's a little bit fiddly doing these frames. As I say, it's not essential to the card, but I do think it does look beautiful. And I want to thank, I didn't make this card up. I got this idea from the lovely Jan Brown, one of the UK demonstrators, who first did a similar card, not with daffodils, but with a different colour and theme. But she gave me the idea, and she was the one that suggested cutting out these frames. Really does add to the card and make it look a little better. So you could do just the front. I've done two. I've done one for the inside as well. I love that Jan's finicky about these things, and actually I liked this idea, so I'm doing it the same. So, oh, just damaged that card. That's bad. It'll be covered. It won't matter. So there is my frame on the inside too, just making sure that absolutely fits closely. There we go. So that just finishes off the front of the card. So then we're going to have a look at decorating the middle, and this is where all of our other pieces are coming in. I'm going to stick my DSP on first onto my flap. Again, you don't have to have DSP on that flap, it doesn't really matter. You could leave it blank and just put your daffodil on. It doesn't really matter. I think it just finishes the card off quite nicely. Then this is the inside of my card, and it's going to be this way round. It feels funny, you think, oh, that's not the right way round, but it is. This is the inside of my card, and I'm going to use a sentiment for the inside of the card, and I'm actually using it from the Something Fancy set, because I rather like this one for Mother's Day. Nothing fancy, just love. So I'm using that for the inside of my card. And I also have ready from the daffodil set, which I've now buried. Here we go. I've also picked out this lovely little butterfly, which I think at first glance you miss on this set, and it's got this lovely decorative design, I don't know what you'd call that, down the side. If you're not happy about being exact with your stamping, you've also got these dotted bits you can use to decorate the card, but I didn't want this to be too plain, so I am going to use this particular decorative strip on my inside, and I'm going to use, oh, just have to reach across to get it because I didn't get it out. I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz stamp pad. It's still my old one, I haven't got my new ones out yet for this, and because it's still inky enough, which is fine. So Just going to ink up my stamp here. Make sure it's all covered by looking to see it's glistening. And then I'm actually going to put it down the sides, I think. So I'm going to have, actually I'm going to put it on here. So I'm going to put it on the side there. You'll only see when they open the card, but that's fine. And also just down here. And to me, it just adds a little bit more interest to the card. Now, you can use this stamp, you can link it up, so I could extend that, but I'm not going to. I don't need to, and I just wanted that for my decoration. I'm also going to use my little butterfly. Again, just in the green. I could do it in a different colour, but I'm just going to use the green, and I'm going to have that coming, I think, up here, just on the inside again, to add a little bit more interest to the inside of the card. And then I'm going to do my sentiment there, which I shall put on in black, actually. So I just use my Memento pad for this, so just inking it up, nothing fancy, just love. There. And then I've got, it's not very straight, never mind. That wasn't very good. I shall leave it. And I'm just going to, obviously I've got room then to write my little message then. I've made it follow the, butterfly. Never mind. So that is my inside of my card. And then for the image that's going to show through the front of the card, I want to use this lovely daffodil stamp. There's a couple of different stamps you can use. There is the single daffodil or the group of daffodils. I've gone with the group, and I'm going to, although it won't be raised, because if you put it on dimensionals, the card's not going to shut. I'm going to stamp it separately. So on this spare piece of card, just like that. I love our stamps because they stamp so beautifully. It's brilliant. And then I am going to colour it in with my blends. Now, blends come in packs of 2, and they come as a darker and a light colour, which you can tell by the tops. One's dark, one's lighter. It also says on it, by the way, it says on the side here, so light tones olive this is, and you can always tell which end is which because of the lines. There's a thick line that shows you the brush end, and a little thin line here which is the pencil end. And for these leaves I am going to just use the pencil end, and I'm going to start with the lighter colour, and because I think it just looks better, to be honest. So it's much easier, I find, to add the dark to the light and then blend them in than it is to use the darker one and then try and add light highlights. I just find that awkward. I find this is definitely the better way to go. So we're going to start with the lighter colour, and I'm just going to colour in all of these. Now, if you want to do this really properly, you do a little bit at a time. If you want to see how to colour beautifully with these and perhaps get it absolutely perfect every time, doing a bit at a time, then Mitushu Crafts are a very good one to go and look at. And 2 gentlemen who are absolutely wonderful, and the colouring is just amazing. So if you really want to learn how to do this brilliantly, go and see them. But I'll show you how to do it fairly quickly. So I'm going to colour in all of my leaves light green. Then I'm going to use again the pencil end of this just to put some highlights in where there might be. So where there might be shadows, I might just put a little bit of dark under there. Where it's going to be in shadow, where it's behind another one, I'm just going to add a little bit of, of dark, just to highlight. Probably not in there, but be a little bit here and under there, because that's a fold. Just use what you feel is right. That's behind, so I'm going to use a darker colour there. That's going behind. You see what I'm doing? I'm just sort of highlighting where I'm going to see shadows if I was looking at these in real life. And perhaps on the underside of that leaf, for example. So I just put a little bit in. I find don't put too much of your dark in. And then just make sure the top's back on properly. That's better. And then just to blend it in, we go back to the lighter colour and just go over where you've put the darker colour and that just blends it in slightly. Now, as I say, if you wanted to do this properly, you would do leaf by leaf. It's up to you. I personally find that this will work enough. So you can keep working on it, keep building the colour up if you want, but I think you can get the idea there. Hopefully that's in view properly. So you can perhaps see the two different colours I've got there that just give a little bit more depth. So I'm going to colour in my daffodils in Daffodil Delight. And you can't really go too wrong with daffodils. You can get orange daffodils, so you could use a darker colour. Add in a second colour if you want. I'm trying to be a little bit more. I want to be fairly quick for the video, so I'm not boring you, but I also want to try and make sure I'm staying within the lines, colouring properly like we were taught at school all those years ago. It's a very long time since I've been at school. Right, I'm going to use, I think my older one's still got plenty of colour in, so again we're going to use the darker colour. I'm using the pointy end because I want to make sure I've got a lot more control over it. And with this one, you can see with the stamp, it's actually put already some shaping on the leaf, so I can use those and then just add a little bit more where it's darker, sort of around the centre there. It's definitely going to be darker in there, so I'll make the centre of the leaf dark there. This one's got a little bit more shadow on it because it's behind these other stems, so we'll add that just in there for that one. And this one again, I'm going to do the centre, so it's just showing up a bit more, to do that bit too. And then same as before, just you can just play around, have a play. The thing with blends is I think you need to play around, try things, do different things, but following the basic outline of the image itself, and just using that to guide where you go will help you. So again, I'm just going to blend those in a little bit just by using the lighter colour again. And if you want it darker still, you can add more colour. I'm going to make the centres even darker. May go even for perhaps I should have gone for an orange centres for mine. I've got some in the garden, some daffodils, which have these beautiful orange centres, but I think I'm going to leave those just like that. Let me get rid of the pens over to the side. So that's my fairly quick colouring. You can spend a lot more time on these things, but I really like that. I just like playing a bit with blends. I think the blends just add to it rather than just doing one colour. To have the two colours and mix them together, I think just lifts an image and gives you a lot more depth to the image. So I could fussy cut those, of course I could, but we have a die for that. So I'm going to use really stuck down die. There we go. So we have the outline die that will cut this out. So I'm going to go and do that. You don't need to see me do this. I shall go and cut you can see how the dies fit around exactly. I'm going to take some time to make sure I have really lined up my die against my image, because I don't want to ruin it at this stage. And then I'm going to use a little bit of tape to hold that down, so making sure it's absolutely lined up. So sorry if my head's getting slightly in the way here, but I do want to make sure this is beautifully lined up so that when I cut it out, it's going to be exactly what I want. So I'm going to put some tape across the top and across the bottom of the die, because I really don't want this to move while I'm doing the cutting out. So I'll just go and do that. So now I can peel off my tape. There we go. And there is my cutout image. So it's worth taking some time just to make sure that your die is really well fixed around your image so you get it out. And if there is a problem, you can always use some scissors to trim it if you want. So there's my image. And if we come back to our card, we now need to put it together. So the first thing is to stick this, bits all over it, stick this in, and we're just going to stick it to the back of this particular flap here. So just going to add some Tombow around the edge of that. You could use tape. Feel free if you prefer to use tear and tape, that's fine. I think I've said this before on videos, but I prefer to use Tombow because it's got wiggle room. I didn't actually like Tombow when it first came out. I always used tape, but now I will always use Tombow. So that is my inside, and you can see now how the card is going to open. So the next thing is to make sure that we stick this onto here, right behind this frame here. And I find the easiest way to do this is to place it down there, and then we're going to fold the card over. So I know I only need glue on the outside portion of this. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue, so holding it around where it needs to go. Just need to put a little bit of glue around there on that side. And this is my fail-safe way of making sure this is in the right place. So I'll fold my card in and then shut it. And that, as you can see, has stuck my circle down just where I want it to be. So then all we have to do is stick the stitched circle onto there. So I will do that next. And this is the advantage. If I'd stamped directly onto the circle for my image, then obviously it would all be finished. I have cut mine out, that's fine. Because when I stick this on, I'm going to have it so that the image is here, but I still have a bit of image down here. I just thought it looked nice when I was planning this. So this is important. I can't stick this on with dimensionals because the card wouldn't shut. So it does have to be stuck down with glue. Oh, you can see this was an old piece of card. An old scrap piece. Well, there we go. Just shows you can reuse bits of old card. That was obviously some stamping that went wrong at some point. So I'm just going to make sure the bulk of my image is right in the middle of that circle. And when you're doing this, if you are doing it similar to this, do make sure that when you stick this image down, you are just sticking it to this flap. Don't make sure there's nothing sticking to there, because otherwise the card won't move. And that is how it then looks through the center. So you can see I've got the here I've got it perfectly centered without worrying too much about it. And then when it opens, that is my card. So to finish it off, all I've done is on a scrap of card, I've stamped my Happy Mother's Day, and I've used the wonderful double oval punch to punch it out and punch out a little background of the pear pizzazz. So I'm going to put that on. Just, you can see where I actually made a mess of the stamping the first time. I reuse bits, it doesn't matter if it's on the back, you can't see it. So there is my greeting. Now this, of course, I can put on dimensionals because it's going on the front. So this is where I'll get a little bit of dimension in the card. So a couple of those. And there we have my Mother's Day card. So a little fun fold, really simple but very effective. I hope you have a go at it and enjoy the lovely springtime Mother's Day that we have today. So if you'd like to know more, please do subscribe to this channel. You can see all my videos then. I've got well over 70 now, I'm building them up. You can go to the website and have a look at the Craft Along blog, which gives you all of the instructions for all of these cards and more. And you can also there sign up for my emails so you never miss what I'm doing. You can find out about my live online classes or my live in-person classes. Just sign up to the email list on the website and you will get all of that information. And I hope to see you here again soon. Let me know if you make the card and show me what you've made, because I love seeing what other people have made. Thank you very much for watching today. Bye for now.